Welcome back to the Car Edition YouTube channel. Today we have got this awesome looking Ranger Raptor. It is in for a wet belt. This one is a 71 plate. It is the 2 litre EcoBlue 4-cylinder. Let's get the wet belt done. It's like a building site under here, isn't it? It's just full of dirt. First things first, we're just going to crack all the wheel nuts off. Especially the lock and wheel nuts. You'd never use a battery gun on one of them. He likes a curb, doesn't he? Everything just covered in concrete. It's just making this ever so slightly sticky. So this Ranger is on 51,000 miles, so we're not expecting the belt to be too bad. The guys just get it done as a precautionary measure. In this video, you all ask for it in every video, is what's the time frame and what's the cost. So at the end, we'll give you the cost and the time because it all gets clocked onto the tablet. Just covered in it everywhere. First things first, get a little vacuum box out of the way, get the fan off, water pump belt, alternator belt. Wow, they didn't want that coming off, did they? You can see where somebody's trying to take it off before, look. Oh, it's all loved in concrete. Ay, ay, ay. I might put a glove on the inlet of that turbo just because I do not want any of this mud falling in there. There we go. That's now safe. They're not in the worst condition. It's got a bunch of mud. You can see all the gravel in the belt. Look. Housing off, get the tensioner off. Crank pulley off and then the cover will come off. Oh look, more mud. Take the tool out. Let's get the cover off then, shall we? 10, 13 and a bunch of 8s and 2 15s. What's it taken to get the cover off? 20 minutes. Now we can actually get a better look at the belt. It's not that bad. Obviously been a well looked after Ranger. We'll time it up, get the belt off. We'll go underneath, get the sump off. That's the bit that takes time because that's a bastard. Turn these over. You can't use the Ranger crank bolt. You could if you get a spacer, but it's too long to go in there, so you need a transit crank bolt. Here's one I made earlier. And what we're looking for, these 2 holes on the camshafts to be at the top, and then our marks on the crank to line up as well. It looks pretty fresh. Just starting to peel away in the corners, you can see it. Now we can get it up in the air, we can get the wheels off, get the drive shaft out, get the steering rack out. Put the crank tool on, make sure that we're in the right place. I wonder if his wheels are out of balance. Telling me that's not at least a couple of grams of weight. What's the point in this? So these Ranger Raptors have Fox suspension. The shock absorber comes right out the way, making it the rack and the drive shaft easier to get out. Give all the nuts and bolts a little clean up before I undo them, I think. So while you're here watching this Ranger video, there was no part 2 for the other one, and we can only apologise. We had some staffing issues, and unfortunately work must continue. So the customer was happy and got his car back. We have a queue of Rangers. Snap belts, I think we've currently got about 4 in. So if you want to see some more, let us know in the comments. It's not the tool, but it's a tool. The comments, like, I don't know, probably 50% is buy a Hilux, buy an L200, blah, 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 blah. But if you've seen the previous video, you know that the Hilux chains are now chaining. So, do you buy a Hilux? The answer is still yes. Next floor, call me Bob the Builder and f me sideways. Oh my God, as if they wasn't heavy enough. Bob the Builder. There is a drain on the other side, but it takes too much time. So this way we get wet and save time. Drain the diff. Before you drain any diff oils, gearbox oils, anything, make sure you can always get the filler plug undone first. If you drain the oil and then you can't get the filler plug undone, you might have a problem. There she blows. One bit just there, 2 bits, a couple of tiny little bits, a bit in the corner, a bit in the middle, nothing outrageous. That bit in the corner, like here, that's belt there. Got the sump off now. Let's do another time check quickly. We are at 55 minutes. So now what we've got to do is clean everything up. We'll get the oil pump belt off. Yeah, again, that's okay. Must be doing regular oil changes, which is what the main thing is on these Transits, Rangers. You're doing your oil changes, you'll be fine. If you're not, let's get in the front here. Let's take the water pump off, get a blade in, take all the big bits of sealant off, and then we can get in there with our little prep tool and clean everything up. Now in our comments, we see a lot of people saying you should replace this bolt here from the idler gear. We haven't personally had any issues with it, and we think what's happening, people are replacing the wet belts and they might not be cleaning up enough. We spend a lot of time cleaning, getting in there with an airline, making sure there's no silicone left. Maybe that's why, maybe it's not. Maybe we're just lucky and we haven't had one yet, but we have probably done, what, 100? If you said 100 wet belts and we haven't had one bolt break yet, touch some wood, I think maybe you just need to get in there with an airline and some brake clean and seriously clean everything up, and I think you'll be all right. And make sure you wear your goggles. Let's go through our bag of goodies and what we get with a Ranger. We get our sump, we get our timing belt kit, we get the water pump belt, we get our oil pump belt, we get the alternator belt. You get the strainer. I know there wasn't a lot in there. People say, Mike, clean it out. For what this costs, we include it in our package. And you also get a crank bolt. You don't get 2 covers, you only have 1, but the 052 has no holes and the 616 has a hole. These come with options, so you just need to decide what one we're having. And also, you get a water pump box with the belt and the tensioner and the tensioner bolt. Put the tensioner on, put the belt on. You tend to find that this dowel pin comes out every time you take the cover out, always gets stuck. Bottom left one, just clean it up, put it back in. Oil pump belt. So some of you want to know how I put the oil pump belt on the Transits and the Rangers. This is how I do it. You get a little keyway for the crank, and I always have that off to the left there somewhere, and then what I'll do is I'll hook the belt on and put it on like a little bit of a chain, and then I'll just find that keyway and on it pops on. Last little bit of clean before we then silicone the cover. We're just going to clean up the cover as well. These ones are the worst ones to put on because there's no holes in the middle, see? There's nowhere to stick your fingers. Crank pulley with our new bolt. We just went to fit our water pump, and as you can see here, we've got a snap blade, obviously been dropped in the box at some point, and we've got it. Make sure you're always checking your parts before you fit them. Let's go get one off the shelf. So here's one I made earlier that we keep in stock. This one's all right. New strainer on. good old clean up. You want to get these sumps sealed up pretty quickly, bolted up, at least in the four corners, because the oil loves to drip out from the ladder rack, and you get a little bit of oil on the sump, it ain't never going to seal. Nip them up, and then we'll let the silicone dry overnight and finish it off tomorrow. Done. Let's go home. Time update for when we go home. 2 hours and 7 minutes.
A few moments later.
Okay, so welcome back. We are on the next day now. We've let the sump and the front cover dry overnight with the silicone. All we've got to do now is put the drive shaft back in, the steering rack back in. We have noticed while we were under here yesterday that we've got a small leak from the corner of the rad. So we're going to replace that while we're here today as well. We just got to wait for that to come in. So let's click start and let's get cracking. That pops into there. Get a little gearbox jack, lift it all up a little bit, put the shock absorber in. Get this out. We now got to take the rad out, so what we've got to do is just take this front top plastic bit off, and then we can disconnect the hoses, and hopefully it will just lift straight up from the looks of it. Just take this bottom hose clip back off. See if we can just move this down a little bit. Not really doing a lot right there, but try not to lean on it. Pull the rad forward, get on the aircon bolts, done. Full of fucking mud. Completely blocked and isn't doing its actual job anyway. Maybe we blow it out a little bit for him while we're here. Next is we're going to fill up the diff with oil. Get your blower, get that in the diff hole. So don't go too crazy with the airline. Last thing you want is the bottle blowing up in your face. And there you have it. The bottle's empty and the diff is full. We haven't made any mess. We filled it up to the level. Little bits run out, so we know that we're at the maximum. These are just a level bung on this. When's my radiator coming this on? Where's my radiator?
3 minutes. So is it done yet?
While we're waiting for the radio, what I'm going to take you through is what happens if you don't service your car with a wet belt. The oil degrades over time, and what it does is that just eats up your wet belt. Maintenance is better than repair. If you want to see what repair looks like over maintenance, you can come over to this big fat mother and you can see this here. So here we have a Ranger that needs some engine work because unfortunately it's toast. They didn't service their car. This is the situation he's ended up in. Body's in the air, engine's on the floor. We've got the radiator in for the Ranger Raptor, straight from Ford. Ta-da! Oh, look at that. We get new rubber bungs as well. I've just greased up the old ones. Okay, so that's the aircon rad bolted to the radiator. Now we just get the radiator into its slots and bolt it up. It's not a bad radiator to do that. We've just got hoses to fit to it, and then we can continue finishing the wet belt. Just trying to get all the thick bits off. You might have noticed battery covers on the Milwaukee battery. We're just trialing these out, seeing what they're like, and then once we know, we'll give you a good honest review. But basically what they do is they make your battery gun magnetic. So say you're doing a clutch or something, you need that stuck to the subframe or the ramp, anything like that. We're just trialing these out. Let's get the vacuum box back over. Put this pipe back on. Bit of rubber safe grease, just a little bit, just to make life a lot easier for us and the next tech who comes to it because it was an arsehole to get off. A little twist. Try and pull it off the bottom if you can't, you know it's on. Right, so now we can see the oil filter. Let's get a bit of cardboard and a drainer. We can get it out. And that little trick there stops it from going all down the chassis rail. You get a little bit on the bottom of the oil filter, but it's better than it going everywhere. There's no unwanted bits in there. Looks all right. Let's give the cup a clean and put it back in. Put the seal on. Put the oil filter in. A little bit of oil. Just above the maximum, exactly where we want to be. Let's get antifreeze in it and let's run it up. Get on the key and get it started. Get the heating on, make sure we bleed the cooling system up right. Got to come through hot through the vents. Let's let that run. There we go, so we're all good. We've checked it for leaks, nothing's leaking. Time frames, we're just over the 3 hour mark with the wet belt done and the radiator done, and the cost will be in the description. So that's this Ranger all done and wrapped up. We'll take it for a road test, make sure it's all right. We'll then recheck it for leaks. Thank you for watching. As always, like, subscribe and comment.